Well, hello. Can't see anybody. Well, one here as yet. The night is young, one says. As usual, I've been a lazy cuss. I've been absolutely nowhere today, unless you include the local shoppers somewhere. I went there. Hang on, where's me remote for me lamp? All the mod cons got a remote control lamp. Only trouble is, can never remember where I put the remote. Modern tech. You canny whack it. I'm just messing about with spare parts I've got for locals. Some smoke deflectors for a project. Hang on. What's that? No, that's traction tyres. Well, that's gone missing again. I have it, then I don't. As Toya Wilcox once said, it's a mystery. Hi, Andy. Good evening to you as well. And Nathan, hello. Well, I've not done a lot at weekend, owing to the fact I probably overindulged more than normal on Friday when my work's due. So we're getting dragged up to dance by women, drinking, having kebabs, bloody, oh, you name it. I did, all credit to me, they had balloons with helium in and I very nearly did the helium trick, but I give it a miss. But I were very close. Oh, my remote, I can turn the lighting down a bit. I won't be reflecting off my head as much. That's if it's working. Oh, you'll do red. It's like a bloody disco. Go back to white. Huh? What happened there? I just go with the flow, Andy. I've got to admit, if you want to ask anything or I think of anything along the way, in time, maybe I'd have to set up a camera in the other room, and I've got a laptop. I may indeed be able to do it with my laptop and some lighting and get another camera for laptop. But I don't really run trains at the moment, Andy. It's just a sort of chit chat. Ask anything you're interested in. Bring subjects up you're interested in. Just really for guys get together. Or ladies, if they care to join. Good evening, Valleys. Good to see you. Bloody paid a fortune for. I got a remote control light bulb. And it had a lifetime guarantee. They didn't say it was lifetime of an hamster. Bloody another tech I've spent fortune on. Sounds like a plan. I'm laying off the beer at moment, Valleys, after Friday. I've got to admit I didn't have as much as I used to do when I was younger. It were enough for a nice evening and a get together. Yeah, having a chat there were one of the young ladies. She's a nice girl as it is, but she turned up dressed up, and I actually went up to her and went, "Hi, bloody hell, are you, is that our?" And she goes, "Yeah." I went, "Bloody hell, you're stunning." Oh, she had a black dress on and she'd been poured into it. She was beautiful. So they were all, a few of them were dragging me up to dance conga. They tried getting me do boots, but I'm too old for that shit now. I won't get up again. Get me on the floor, I won't be standing up again. Legs are goosed. So, what's everybody been up to today? Anything good? I had plans to do something, but I didn't end up doing it. I had plans to go out and have a look at one of my friends. She's set up a baked potato van. Cracking little idea. She's converted an horse trailer and made a baked potato oven, like catering job. Wow, that sounds awesome, Andy. What ship have you been scratch building? Which one? That's bloody small, 1/1200th scale. I'm guessing it weren't a Flower class corvette in that scale. That sounds good. Have you been out to a fair somewhere, Andy? I know what you're saying. For my channel, it's an habit. I have to stop myself buying them. To be honest, I must have around 200 locals backed up now for channel, and they're not all going to be used on the layout I'm planning to build. Because I'm planning to build a BR Blue era, and I've got American. My latest acquisition is a Dutch electric loco in Dutch livery, so yellow and grey. That's been a piss about as well, Royal Mail. I'm going to have to go and pick that up tomorrow morning. Oh, wow, that sounds awesome, Nathan. That sounds awesome. They're a very ecclesiastical mix of ships at Dunkirk. My dad didn't get to that neck of the woods, although he did the Atlantic convoys and he headed out over Africa on battleships. So we were African way in India. He got as far as Durban, I think it was. Yeah, there's a lot of the European stuff I like. That's why I'll see stuff, and if it's the right quid, I'll buy it like that. It's a Lima Dutch electric loco, and I think it was 20 quid. I thought I'm having it at that price. I can service it and maybe weather it on my channel. Something to give give a bit of diversity. Because I have viewers all over the world, so as well as doing my own local, I like doing world trains. I saw a lovely set on eBay I was tempted by the other day, but it was a lot of money and I couldn't really justify it at the moment because there's been shizzle gone down at work. They're changing the structure of how we are, so I'm getting a different pay date. So I'm going to have to sort of watch me money over the next couple of months. But the set I saw, what a cracking set. It was an Australian and it was the GAN local and coaches. Looked really good in red and white. And the Afghan layout on Afghan logo one side of it, the camel, looked really good. Yeah, there's some unusual stuff. There's an unusual one in Manchester Museum of Science and Industry. We sold one of our, well, we sold more than one, I presume, of our EM2s off the Woodhead line. They went to Holland for Dutch Railways, and they got one back, and it's in Museum of Science and Industry. And they never bothered to return it into British Railways colours. It stayed in, they've left it in the Dutch colours. Yeah, like, there's little interesting bits of different stuff they do the world over. I was looking at some 135th model kits that are available, and there's a kit, I'm trying to think who it is now, but they do a little service 3-wheel pickup and the working gang with it for European. I think it's Deutsche Reichsbahn. And it's a little 3-wheel pickup with all the workshop gear on the back and 3 line workers. Yeah, it looks like it'd be good for a cracking diorama. Because they've got a couple of railway related kits. So yeah, looks interesting. Be interesting to do. Like for my channel, I do dioramas and stuff every now and again, but nowadays I'm getting a bit, shall we say, my nerves and stuff are, my disability's getting worse and I'm shaking worse and stuff, so model kits are getting a bit hard now, especially modern model kits, where they like to put all the tiniest detail in and they do etched brass and stuff. Welcome back, Valleys. Good to have you. Yeah, they get tricky now, model kits. I've got about 200 classic kits, so I think I'll be putting them on eBay. Because I ain't getting any younger. I think I'm going to be sticking to one hobby, my railways, and maybe be die casts and clear the rest out. Because unfortunately, I'm getting to the thinking, I'm not getting any younger, my health ain't getting any better. So one day, somebody will have to clear this place out. And the less they have to do, the better for them. Yeah, very true, Valleys. You know, some they do so much detail, you need a magnifier for it. And any person that's viewing it, they'll only look for 2 foot. And the biggest percentage are non-modelers. And they'll go, oh, that's awesome anyway. One that makes me laugh, there's a lot of things makes me laugh in modelling. Some of these are with perfectionists. I like Umbro paint because it's hard wearing for modelling. How much were you planning on? Why much were you planning on handling your diorama? Yeah, I can see the appeal to that. I've just posted a diorama of the Airfix Earl Die Bill. I've put it on Shedmouth Junction's Facebook page and a modelling page, but I've got an itchy touch. But I built one Triumph Herald out of two because I wanted to model the doors and boot open. And I did scratch building on it. I made some visors for it, floor mats, I made engine parts, engine mounts, I made crankcase covers, I altered the rocker cover, made timing chain covers for it, made the alternator, well, not alternator, it was a dynamo then, but I made all the individual parts and stuff so it looked better than just the original Airfix block of plastic. But yeah, there's some I watch occasionally. There's some amazing like scratch builders. There's a guy. What's he called? There's a guy in the diecast modelling community, and he hasn't posted for ages. But he made remote control cars, and he did customs. He chopped the body up and everything. But it was in 1/64th scale, like Hot Wheels size cars, like that. And he were making them full remote control. Full lot on them, and it were just... He made all his own suspension for inside the springs, the steering. He was just... I'm trying to think of his name. He's amazing to watch. Yeah, my eyes are only just good enough for double O scratch building now, Alex. It's definitely an art. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got bits and bobs here. Where is it? That's it. I bought some chain there for me American locos because I'm scratch building my own handrails. So I've got I section beam, I've got the round style handrail, and I've got the chain for at the front and rear. Oh, it's amazing. I'm trying to remember his name. If I can remember his name, I'll tell you and go and look him up. He was amazing. I think he's Puri something. Is it Puri Garage? I'll look. I'll just give me one sec. I'll look him up. I'm sure it's Puri something. YouTube. Yeah, it is. Purely Garage. If you want to look him up, his name's Puri Garage. So it's if you go on YouTube and you put Puri and then Garage, that's his page. You'll find him. He does all sorts of customs with Hot Wheels cars, but he makes full remote control. They're amazing. Full remote control drift cars. You know, Vallis, I don't understand why all the fuss were made at TT. They sold it on, it's small enough for people having smaller houses nowadays. What do you think M were for? I think Hornby just wanted to create a scale where he'd had no competition. Really, I think that was the be all and end all of it. I think they're probably losing the market share in double O because there's some damn good double O makers now that beat the arse off Hornby, to be honest. And in Engage, Graham Farish they've got that stitched up good and proper. Graham Farish, so yeah, you're welcome, Nathan. He's a fantastic channel to watch. Amazes me how he does the remote control to that scale. And Dan built, and he builds all his own suspension and steering and everything. Is amazing. Hey, Mick's here. How you doing, buddy? Like I say, I didn't catch you Friday. I were out on Razzle. Oh, Mick, I'm on it. You know, I've nearly finished. My annual leave. My annual leave's nearly up, and I've still not fully got rid of cold. I think it'll have fully gone by Wednesday by the time I go back in work. But every time I have my Christmas annual leave, I'm ill. Yeah, Valleys, I've not seen that T scale yet, but it is micro, isn't it, apparently? But yeah, and this is what I mean. Engage has come on leaps and bounds, and you got people saying, oh, this TT, it's in between N and double O. It's nowhere near in between N and double O. It's a little bit bigger than N. So if you can't manage with N, you're not going to manage with TT. You're kidding yourself if you think you're going to manage with TT if you can't manage with N. I don't know. I can't get mine running proper yet, Valid. I got one running and it was good until I put it on the track. Then the gears started slipping. I've got to have a look at it because for my channel, I've got some American Engage gear. I want to set up I've got a roundhouse. I've got a turntable. I've got a couple of locos, some carriages, shed load of tracks and points. And I've seen a location I want to build. Like it's got the roundhouse, the turntable, and it looks like a preservation society. So I can use old locomotives, like old diesels and old wagons, and I can use a mix match together because, hey, it's a preservation society. Anything can be running. Yeah, I've no doubt they will, but the main thing, Valleys, is working with them with my shakes. I can concentrate, it's weird. I can concentrate, and if I really deeply concentrate, I can stop twitching. But if I lose that concentration for a split second, I'm like Jack freaking Douglas. Local will be over at other side of the room. Just an involuntary twitch. So yeah, it's a bit of a pain in the ass. Like I've edited, but I edit some of the stuff. I still have the shakes in my videos, but I edit some of the stuff. I'm gathering she doesn't look in, Valleys. Yeah, I'm taking it she definitely doesn't look up. But yeah, I watch some quality channels different away from model railway. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the railway ones, but I've got to have selection, like variety in my life. Otherwise, if I'm one of these, I get heavily into it, and then I can lose interest all at once if I don't diverse into other things. I can lose it completely. Like with die casts, I've lost it quite a bit with that at the moment. I've to get on with doing one for a yearly challenge. Mick knows I've got a minute to do. I'll probably do that tomorrow. I've got my plan and everything. It's just motivating myself, and at the moment, with all illnesses, it's not that easy. Sometimes just motivating myself enough to get up in the mornings challenge. Hey, it could be worse, Valis. It could be out playing with big women. There are a couple of Amazons at my works do on Sunday. One of the other women said, "Oh, put your eyes back in." I said, "Eyes back in?" I said, "I need a step ladder to challenge that." Big lass she were. Bloody hell, even without stilettos, I'd bloody need a step ladder to get to her. I know, same with me. They drag me up to dance and stuff. Me manager looked at me in disbelief. It was their own fault. They started playing Kiss, so I started headbanging. And then I discovered, I said, I'm too old for that shit. I'm nearly 60. Shouldn't be headbanging as a 60-year-old. The sort of praying mantis effect, Vallis. Bites your head off when they finished. I've dated a couple of them. Jesus, I shared a house with one of them. It was an, it was an, ah, valleys. You know something, I used to come in the evening when I shared an house with that lass, and I didn't know whether she'd be sat there with a beer for me or stabbing the kitchen table with a carving knife. Just in case, I used to have one of them chairs you could put under the door handle in my bedroom. Like, sod off, you're not coming in the middle of the night. Even my cat used to look at me and say, "Don't leave me out there with her, boss." Oh, things you do. The things you do through life. Oh, geez, valleys. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I'm not saying too much because it goes live, but oh, some of some of the situations I've got in all my life. No, leave me alone. Don't want to. Yeah, there's some. Oh God, I laugh at me mate. Bless him. He's married to a now lovely girl, but He, he went out on a night out, and he met this girl, and he'd been chatting to her. She's his wife now, bless her, lovely woman. But he met her, and they were in the taxi going home, and he gets to his house, and he says, "Right, I'm getting out now, night. See you later." And she goes, "Where the hell do you think you're going? Get back in." And she kidnapped him to her house. Brilliant. Brilliant it was. I laughed. I mentioned it. Our best man at his wedding, so I mentioned it at wedding. Funny. Got a good laugh. I thought, one of them things you think, hang on, with that his ex over it, the one he's with. Don't want to cause trouble. You have to go when you've known somebody so long and they're on second wife. You have to think when you're best man, when you have amusing anecdotes, you think, hang on, were he with her then or not? But yeah, happy days. It were good fun. So a couple of others in now. What have others been doing this weekend? What you been up to, Mick? Tell you what, I've had a really unproductive weekend. I've intended to do something, then looked at it and gone, can't be arsed. And the one thing I did do, I couldn't do anything about, and I've been done. Like I had a couple of mainline J72s, and once they gone out, once mainline J72 go, you can get the gear and the axles for them, but I won't bother. I've just been on. There's so much messing about to get them right, and they're never that good. Excellent. Excellent, Valleys. Yeah, so I tried that main line, so I've ended up with a box full of 3 mainline J72s in pieces. They've gone in the Spurs box, I can't be arsed with them. So if I want a J72, I'm looking at the newer Bachmann, because they put a square axle in them. They put a square axle and a nut, and they're a far better loco. Because the actual mainline one, it's a shame because the mainline was a lovely one. Oh, beautiful, Paul. One of the Lima Kings. Was that King one of the H or one of the double O ones? Yeah, I know what you mean. Is it a claystery coach? Or have I got that right? It's the double O one. Yeah, I can remember they brought it out in HO first, I'm sure. If I remember, with Lima. I've been actually messing about with. I'm planning on doing the Hornby Hall. I've got a box of about 3 of them in pieces. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I've got a box of Hornby Halls. I bought nameplates for them, and I've got decals, and there's one. It doesn't even really need a repaint. It just needs redecaling and service, and it's a goer. But the other 2 will need quite a bit of major work. Yes, sorry, Mick, I've seen that. Yeah, it's a nice job, that. You've done it in magenta, haven't you? Stands out really well. Looks good, that bubble car. I've got one in my collection. I can't for the life of me remember what colour I had as a kid. I can't remember if I had the orange one or the pink one. In fact, thinking of it, while I were a kid, I would probably bought both as a kid because I had oodles of Corgi, Dinky, and Matchbox as a kid, so I probably had both. Fantastic! You had a real one, Valleys. Heinkel did them, and BMW did them. BMW did the ice setters. Fantastic little things. I don't think they'll be there now, but I used to help my mate out at his garage, and he used to restore cars, and he had some nice stuff. And one time we went all the way from Manchester down to Gweek in Cornwall to buy a car that he'd seen on holiday. And he asked him before he went, he was a Opel Senator, and he said to him, "It's not a next place one." And he said, no, he said, "There's no zips in the headlining, is there?" And they were, no, there's no zips in the headlining. And he went, "Right, I'll come down and see it and have it off you." And he went all the way down there, and he got there, And he looked up and straight away there were a zipping headline. So it were an ex-police car. You can't hide the fact. And he went, I thought you said it had no headline. Zipping headlining. Anyway, it turned out it was an higher up official's car. And it hadn't got that much mileage on, so we bought it. But while we were down there, we hiked all the way around old classic car dealers and see what we could find. And he ended up going, sod it, I'll get the senator. Take it back, but yeah. Oh, what a trip that were. All day driving. Early morning set up off from Manchester down to Cornwall about 1 o'clock in the morning. We got back the day after. Could have been back a lot earlier, but we decided to look for a different car and ended up buying. You know, you talk about women going all the way around shops with them and they end up buying the first one we did sell. That was us when we went down for that senator. We went down, looked at the senator, went all the way around Cornwall looking at different cars, then bought the first one we saw. I thought blokes have that shit as well. Yeah, Messerschmitt they were longer and narrower, the Messerschmitts. They were like an aeroplane cockpit on them. Yeah, they were nice. My friend in his garage, same thing. He restored Monzas, and he had a few Monza GSEs. I got a driver one of them. They were beasts. They were the 3 litre inline 6-cylinder fuel injected engine. They could kick off. Nice cars. And the inside for an early 80s car, they were a rocket ship for the early 80s. Oh, that's cool. A35, bloody hell. A little puddle jumper. We had the A40 Farina Mark 1 version. They were a cool little car. But the A35, it was one of my favourite racing drivers' cars. It was his favourite car, James Hunt. He loved his A35. James Hunt, he said you get a real sensation of driving out of them. I only had a saloon, the Morris Minor. Little saloon. I drove me Heralds more than me Minor, though. I had 3 Heralds. Were it 3? Yeah, 3. I had 3 Heralds and a Minor. You look back, I had Cortinas, I had Saabs. I had a bit of all sorts, really. Funny, I never really give any of my cars names. My motorbikes got them, but never cars. I called a 500cc bike I had Tika because it were red hot and a bit spicy. My little, my 600 Yami, it were bright yellow and black, so it were called Burrell the Yellow Pearl. I had a little Suzuki GP100 years ago. I customed up, I stripped it right down. and I put alloy wheels on it off another. They were off a GP100, but a later model, so I had to do alterations. I had to put new fork stanchions on. What else did I do to it? It had a Kawasaki AR fairing, like a little headlamp fairing. Did custom paint on it, red, white, and blue. And that one, I called him Jasper. And he got nicknamed by the lads because they all had bigger bikes than me. When I worked at a motorcycle shop, they used to call him Jasper the Gasper. And funny. Yeah, Corrados, they're a nice little car. I think I told you that story when I don't think it was a Corrado. I think it was what's the other one? Scirocco. I think it was a Scirocco, but he was trying to barge past me on a dual carriageway when I wanted to get out and get going. So I just dropped it 2 gears, wound it back, lifted it up onto back wheel, shot down the dual carriageway. I was doing 60 mile an hour when I lifted it up onto back wheel. I looked up and I saw the road disappearing, and my mate had stopped at the bottom. So I had to touch the back brake, drop it back down, then once it got its wheel planted on the ground, hit the front brake. Luckily, that bike had 4-pot disc brake, twin discs with 4 pots on. So it had good stopping power, Jesus. And I hit the brakes and were about 2 inches from back of my mate's bike. Said, what happened back there to me? I said, don't want to know. I missed you, that's all you need to know. Yeah, they were okay, the Scirocco's. I knew a young lad who had one in the 80s, about 87, and it was beautiful. It was a white Scirocco, colour-coded bumpers and everything. Looked really pretty. And his girlfriend comes into him crying because we shared an house and everything, a load of lads together. She comes into him crying. She goes, you're going to kill me. Said, why? Says, I've crashed your car. And credit to him, he went, oh, you're all right, darling. He went out and the bumper were crushed and everything. I thought, well, that's going to cost you some money. I bet that's definite fun, Valleys. I bet that is definitely fun. Especially remapping and everything. I think my mate now he'll be his MG midget's in for the winter now, so we did a lot of work on it last year on all the mechanicals. He's rebuilt the engine, rebuilt all the suspension and brakes. So he's done all the mechanicals and the underneath and the bulkheads, all stuff like that. It's all meant that. So I think this year, I think he's going to prep it for respraying and respray it. Yeah, that's damn fast for a car, that. It is, Valleys. My bike can do it in 3.2. But that's damn fast for a car. My bike was faster than a lot of Ferraris. Because it was a slightly detuned race engine. That's the trouble. A lot don't realise. You can soup them up and they're fantastic, but like with big bikes, smaller bikes can outrun bigger bikes if you get them on twisters. Because you can have loads of power like mine had, but if you haven't got the handling to get round corners, and as opposed to a smaller bike, if a smaller bike handles, it can stop quicker, it can get off the mark quicker because it's not carrying weight. Big bikes, they've got loads of weight, and you have all that weight needs stopping, getting round corners and accelerating again. So in the right circumstances, a little bike can leave a big tuned bike. Yeah, there's understeer, oversteer. There's very few cars that get it just right. Very, very few. It can be an art setting up bikes though. Like tyres, suspension. I just started getting me 500 semi-right, and people spotted all the handling gear on it, so it were nicked. So I didn't bother going to that length again. I put all decent shocks on it. It had a racing exhaust, and it were loud, so you were broadcasting the fact you were there. So once it got to, people noticed it because it were a damn good bike for a 500. It were thieved. Oh, beautiful. A friend he actually got, and I couldn't believe he sold it on. He actually got a genuine Alpine, a full car. I said, don't sell that on. And he went, oh yeah, he did a little bit of work on it and sold it on for a couple of hundred. I said, you do realise if you'd have kept that and done it proper, you could have sold it on for stupid money. Oh, I just wanted it out of the way. Oh. It was an Alpine, I can't remember fully now, but it was an Alpina P something or another, I think, if memory serves me correct. But it was nice. He had all sorts go through his garage, though. He had Lotuses go through, and he had Capris, Triumph, Stags. Oh, he had all sorts. Oh my God. Oh my God, Valleys, get it ridden. Get that sucker ridden. Jesus. There can't be many of them around now. You've got to ride it once, Valleys. I'd have ridden it by now. They were beautiful. Is it all full and original? Yeah. They did a few beautiful bikes, Vincent. I think they did. Were it a Black Knight, Black Shadow? Few. But they were all beautiful. Black Shadow was 1,000, wasn't it? Which back in them days, 1,000 was rare. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, they are 1,000, thought they were. Just off top of my head. I knew a lad years ago, one of my brother's friends, and I don't think he'll be around now, never mind the motorcycles. Well, the motorcycles will be around, but somebody else's collection. He had a couple of water-cooled Scott squirrels. So I bet they'll be in somebody else's collection now. His wife said to him once, she said, I think he was called Steve. She said, Steve, it's either me or the motorcycles. He said, shut the door on the way out. Because there ain't nowhere these Scots are going anywhere. Oh, how cool's that? That's awesome. There's I've watched a guy that does a wall of death. I think his name's Ken something. He does a wall of death, he's famous for it. And he uses all Indians, and he has Indians for his main bikes that he has. But the other people who ride with him use, last time I saw him, they were using Honda CB200s. Oh, cool. I like the little pastel green and chrome in BSA Bantams. The older, one of the originals, the first ones with a rigid frame. Ah, cool. Excellent. My old fella used to be friends with the speedway rider. He was world champion at one point, but he was friends with Peter Collins, his dad, my dad. And he tuned one of my dad's, but he only had a moped. But Peter Collins, his dad, tuned it for him. He said it frightened me to death. He said it went like clappers after he'd done it. Yeah, damn right. It was, they still do it, but my team now. The stadium's tiny compared to what we had. And there used to be Saturday meetings. Now it's all midweek meetings, so I don't really want to get into it. I can get there and everything. It's just, for me memories, I prefer Saturday evenings. It was great going Saturday evenings, set up in stands, watching them blast around. I used to go right down to the fence at the front, and I were on corner, so when they came round, I'd duck behind the barge boards, so we weren't covered in shale, and just hope the rider didn't come off where I were. But yeah, it is scary. I saw one lad. Yeah, it was. Wimbledon certainly were. Bellevue had a separate dogs track, but at Bellevue they had stock cars and speedway. But great stadium. But one night I was there, sad really. A lad well, he was team captain at the time. He came off and he ended up in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Broke his back. Poor lad. Then he was a good rider, Alan Wilkinson. But yeah, I've met, going back only a couple of years now, I met Peter Collins, his brother Les Collins, and I had a chat with him about back in day, because I've met Peter and met a few riders. Yeah, so it was an entertaining little bit spent with him. Let us sit on his bikes and stuff. One thing I hadn't had a go at Speedway. Yeah, it was sad, Mick. It were an horrible thing to witness. I mean, at the time, you just think, oh, he's been injured. Yeah, you expect people to get up and he's had a spill. He'll be riding again next week, like they usually did. Except that time he wasn't. Well, yeah, there is that, Valleys. There always is. Were it Dale Earnhardt Jr.? He thought he were too big to use the head restraints everybody else were using, because they said it'll stop you breaking your neck in this type of accident, and he were, never happened to me. Guess what? It did. Killed him. And it's even worse when the equipment were there to stop him getting killed, and he refused to use it at a point where everyone else was starting to use it. Yeah, Jackie Stewart campaigned a lot in F1 to stop it. It particularly happened, what do you call it? Oh, Jesus, wanted to go there. The Nürburgring. It happened, that's where it all kicked off, because there were bad barriers on it and they weren't bolted up proper. And Jackie Stewart said something needs doing. And they went on strike, the F1 drivers, till they sorted it. So they went round, they bolted the barriers up, and they said, we're still not happy, but we'll race. So they raced, but Hockenheim, they no longer race it, and I don't know, it were a fantastic track if you lived in that era. The racing were entertaining, but if you look at it, you couldn't use it now. There's no runoffs. It's practically impossible to make safe for F1, because they took out one of the most dicey parts when they still had the track, which were the bit where the cars came screaming over the crest, and Formula One cars put all four wheels into the air. So they got air underneath the car. And they took that bit out of the track. But then eventually, I think it was after Niki Lauda's accident that stopped Hockenheim on the circuits. They said, no, it's too dangerous now, this circuit. There's been a few that were real killers. As you say, they move on, Valleys. With Jackie Stewart and moving on and safety. I mean, you looked at the track where Senna and Ratzenberger were killed. And I think them two were killed on the same corner. And you wouldn't have said that corner were a killer. It looked smooth and they had a runoff and everything. You never have said that corner had killed someone. But it took two. So that corner's been altered now as well. But yeah, that was Imola, weren't it? Sorry, Valleys. Is that Imola? No worries. I think that was Imola, yeah. Maybe wrong, but I think you were. Without looking, but it was the same weekend that took Ratzenberger and Senna. But yeah, any other model railway related items of interest to chat about? Interesting one I got the other day. When I looked at it, they said it's a repaint. Hang on. They said it's a repaint. And I said, I don't think it is. I looked at it, I thought, that looks too good for repainting. The decaling looks too good. And if it's been repainted, it's the same number as the Army one, so I think they just think it's been repainted. I think that's the genuine Army paint job. Whatever the case, it's getting extra decals, maybe a bit of detailing. I might get flush glaze, get it running. It's only a 22 quid loco. Oh, I don't know. There were so many good ones. It was a nice one on the... Oh, shit. Trying to think of it now. First team buddy Hamilton drove for. Trying to think of it. We're good on their cars back in 70s. In the Hunt era. I think Hunt drove them with a Marlboro livery. And Senna. Trying to think of the car team now. It'll come to me. McLaren. McLaren were in the Marlboro livery. Had to think, then my brain's getting out and rusty. But there's been so many nice liveries. My all-time favourite livery was the Saudia Williams. The Leyland Saudia Williams. That were a nice livery. Just white with green, and that were a tidy livery, that, on the Saudias. But the Renault livery and Mansell's, that were a nice livery. John Player Special. That were nice. The Candy livery were nice. That was Tyrrell Elf. The Elf Tyrrell six-wheeler. They were nice. It was nice, the Tyrrell livery. Plain, but nice. Jackie Stewart drove for them. I'm not so sure whether Jackie Stewart... Not sure whether Jackie Stewart drove the six-wheeler. I knew he drove the ones before. But yeah, there were some beautiful liveries. You had Candy, that were a nice one, like I say. The washing machines and electrical appliances company. John Player Special were a tidy livery. Gold Leaf, that were a nice livery. That's going back a bit further though, late 60s. Late 60s, early 70s Gold Leaf livery. That was another tidy livery. There's been so many like nice liveries and eye-catching. Yeah, good driver Jim Clark. He was. A lot of good British drivers. At the moment, Oh, some of the 60s racing, when you got into that era, before they were discovering the aerodynamics and the fins and stuff to hold them to the track, because the trouble were in the 60s, they were getting fast enough then, but they were starting to need something to hold them to the track. Fantastic. Sterling Moss, legendary. Legendary guy. Few people realise that Murray Walker, as well as being a commentator, were a racer. Murray Walker started off in motorcycle racing. Fangio, yeah, he was one classic old racer. Mansell were awesome. He's a very underrated driver for people to. He had some records himself. In fact, I think Mansell still holds some records to this day. I think Mansell holds a lap record somewhere to this day. I think he holds the most amount of pole positions in a season. He's very underrated. He had one world championship, I think. I think it was one Mansell got. He's a terrifically underrated driver, Niggly Wimpsell. But God, he were boring in interviews. I think it was that Brum voice. Are you all right, Nigel? Yeah, well, I'm all right. I could have done a bit better there, you know. Yeah, he was one of my favourites, man, so far. He was Mr. Personality, right? When you compare him to some of the others, he was Mr. Personality. But yeah, you can't take him away from him. I think on stats he still holds. Oh, on stats he still holds quite a few records. Yeah, I used to like what Senna said, mate. They say this and that. He says, I'm a racing driver. If I'm not going out there to win, he said, I'm not a racing driver anymore. He said, second isn't good enough for me. Senna didn't believe in all the, if you get third or whatever. He didn't believe in it's the taking part that's important. He used to say bollocks to that. He said, as a race driver, I'm there to win. I've watched Senna so many times, and even other drivers used to say the way he could throw a car about. They said he was a driver, and it's hard to explain. Senna was a driver. He didn't put a car on the edge. He was constantly putting it over the edge and recovering it. And drivers used to say, they used to watch him, and he said he got that close to barriers. They thought the car had gone through the barrier to pinch another few millimetres. He said the way he threw it round the corners and it was jiggling off, he said he gave the appearance that it had gone through the barrier. And he hadn't touched it, but the car used to dive with his driving technique because he was constantly beyond the limit in recovering it. Yeah, Monaco. My friend's been to Monaco. No, he was Brazilian, Senna. Yeah, my friend's been to Monaco, but not when they were racing. But he said it's an amazing place. You don't go down front there and at casinos. And he said, we looked like riffraff while we were there. He said, I felt like you go to your local town centre here in the UK and you see all the meth addicts and the bloody shoplifters and all the nerd wows. My mate said, I felt like one of them in Monaco. He said, you go past the club there, like, what do you call it, casino. Said, you pass by a casino, there's Bentleys, Ferraris, Bugattis. They're all parked outside the casinos and stuff. He says, and like, yeah, it's a different world, isn't it, Valleys? Monaco. It's like when Lewis Hamilton started with all the Black Lives Matter and everything. That was the moment I stopped supporting him. When he was saying, "Oh, we're suppressed. We're not allowed to get on as well as white people." I thought, hang on, you live in the most select square mile of property in the world where your next door neighbour looks down on you if you have less than 30 million and you're saying you're suppressed. Oh, cool. What's that in the Le Mans film? Yeah, did he drive in the Le Mans film, Vallis? All right, no worries. Cool. Me mate, I had a friend and he did a house up in France and he used to live near Le Mans. And what he did, he had a huge American motorhome. So while he was doing his house up, he lived in his motorhome. He was one of these bloody coach coach size things with sides that wind out and shit like that. Anyway, when he moved into his house, he used to get car teams, racing teams onto him that were visiting Le Mans saying, we need accommodation. Can we rent your like camper off your American motorhome? And he go, yeah. He used to rent his motorhome out to racing teams visiting Le Mans. Not cheap affording to repair them once you've bent them round something, especially if it's a full shelling job. What was it he'd bent, Vallis? What type of car were it he wrapped up? Anything exotic? Yeah, they're They're interesting, the old Le Mans cars. Yeah, to grueling race, that 24 hours. I know they swap out and get chance for a kip and stuff, but it's grueling at night for the visibility. Oh, wow. Very nice. You know, we race in pedigree and all that, a Ferrari or Lambo. Any car that has a racing history is worth a fortune if you sell it on nowadays. Especially from the 70s. If you have a classic race car from the 70s and you're selling it on, it'd be worth a mint. From the 60s, what is it? What is it? What do you call it? Drummer Nick Mason paid for his 250 LM. Oh, they were beautiful. Shark nose Ferrari F1. Beautiful F1 car they were. I'm an artist and I've actually sketched one of them valleys. Beautiful car. Just let me have a look what Nick Mason paid for his. I'm intrigued now. I know it were in double figures, but how far into double figures? He bought it for 37,000 in the 70s. Well, his investment, that'll have gone up to millions for a 250 GTO. That'll be in millions now if you sold it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's tagged now if you wanted to buy it, which I doubt Mason would sell it, is 50 million. So he's definitely made on that. Yeah, he's not too bad, Oscar. Yeah, chat later in week, Mick. Good to have you in, buddy. Lovely to have your support. Yeah, Oscar Paisley does some nice videos. I'll watch him occasionally, Paul. Good little channel he has. Oh, cool, Reg, that. Vallis. I love the car, and it's one I've never seen in the flesh yet. I've seen replicas, but never seen a genuine. Yeah, he does. He does old stuff. He's got a good setup. Double O Bill's doing a nice little setup, but it's unfair to say till I see it near a finish, but I think I preferred his old layout. But it's unfair to say until I see this one finished. This one will probably be nicer. But I like watching Double O Bill. I watched one of yours again the other day, Valleys. Who else do I watch quite often? I like watching some of the American ones. I like watching Runts, what do you call it? Classic model trains. I watch SMT every now and again because I like watching him getting his job lots of American locals. Oh, yeah, nice. Nice valleys. Nice cars, Astons. I never got to drive the Aston Martin at work. I only managed to get the 911 and the two Ferraris. I got a little Ferrari Spider and a Ferrari Testarossa. Yeah, do that, Valleys. I'd like to see a proper one of your layout. I watched some of Barry. I don't know if I'm getting him confused with another one. But there was someone a bit ago he caused a lot of offence with some people, and I can't remember if it was Barry or someone else, so it's unfair saying yeah it was Barry. But I watch him, he's a knowledgeable guy. But I love watching Scott Rails as well. The Scottish guy in Canada. He's doing some interesting stuff at the moment. To getting old American locals and putting them to DCC and making his layout and stuff. He does some quite decent videos. The main one I enjoy, he hasn't posted for a couple of weeks. I like watching Chandwell, which is an engaged layout. And he films a little bit of the trains, but he hardly films his trains running at all. He hardly films his stock. He concentrates on his building, and he builds everything out of cardboard on Chandwell in N scale, and his buildings are phenomenal. He's out. If you've never seen his channel, pop in and look at Chandwell. And another one I like Shedmouth Junction. Like, it's nice family channel. Like Martin and his daughter Evie. Nice family channel. I don't know if any guys on here are getting involved with a wibbly wobbly wagons challenge. I've got a plan. In fact, I might start a video tomorrow. Yeah, it is. It's good. It's good, Valleys. He's got a beautiful relationship with his daughter. I love watching them. Really good pair to watch. It's nice seeing parents doing stuff with their kids nowadays, rather than just throwing them on a computer in the corner. It's lovely seeing them enjoying hobby together and stuff. Too many now with kids just go off, fuck it, throw them in corner with a video or whatever. Yeah, it's nice to see there's girls interested in it. I don't know why it was always just boys throughout the hobby. Because girls enjoy it as well. A different thing, though, we have nowadays is the lads have started liking being princesses. I don't know what that's about. I've not worked that one out yet. never mind train drivers, Valleys. There's lots of female fighter pilots nowadays. I'll never forget. I was at Southport Airshow, and it was the year where they had the first female Red Arrows pilot, and I got to meet her. Nice girl, but what a laugh! I was behind this girl. I was behind this chap waiting to see her, and he was next in line in front of me, and he'd waited all the time to see her in line. And I couldn't believe the question he asked her. He'd had all the time to think, what's it like flying the Tornado? What's it like being a Red Arrow? Have you ever flown in action? And he had a whole list he could have asked the girl. And he goes up to her and he says, how old are you? And I'm stood behind him. I just went, why don't you just fucking ask her how heavy she is as well, mate? And she looked at me, laughed and goes, don't even go there. And this prick just walked off. I thought, how insulting is that? To wait all that time to see a woman that's achieved something like that and then say, how old are you? To a woman. Fucking hell, 0 person skills. You know, one of the nicest girls I work with is a lesbian. In fact, one of the nicest lads I work with were gay. I'm missing it. You know, I went to a party. I went to our works do the other night, and it weren't the same without him. He was a riot. He was so funny. You know something, Valleys? I think today's people are worse than we ever were. The biggest thing is, and they don't get it, they can't see it, because they're too stupid. They're that busy gagging people, you can't say this, you can't say that, you're not allowed to say this, that people don't say anything anymore. And the biggest problem with that is they don't realise that they've got false friends. I'd rather have an honest enemy than a false friend. You've got people that won't say out, so you don't know if you're talking to somebody who can't stand you or likes you, because you can't say anything. So it's like I got in an argument the other day. Well, only yesterday. And it was about the death toll in World War II and comparing it to Palestine. And I was talking about the death camps. And I worded it, the total death toll at the death camps was about a quarter of the total deaths in World War II. And the death toll were about 75 million. So a quarter of that were death camps. And they turned round and they said, oh, they are supporting Jewish deaths and everything. I said, I didn't say that. I said the total killing in the death camps were a quarter of the deaths. I said the Germans in that figure included Russians, they included homosexuals, the ill, blacks, anyone that didn't fit their regime. So it wasn't just Jewish. I didn't say Jewish. I said everyone. You know, it's this modern generation are creating so many rods for their own back. Like I say, Any day I'd choose a genuine enemy than a false friend. At least you know where you stand with your genuine enemy. You'll never quite know who's your friend when they're all made to be your friend. You'll never quite know who is. And they've got a lot of wake up calls coming this generation. No do with me, I'll be out of it. I'll be out of it. I've not got that long to go amongst these lunatics, thank God. But yeah, it's at the moment it's certainly not the world I came into, and it's not for the better either. They have the tech and they think they're cosmopolitan and forward thinking. They've got a lot of wake up calls coming from the behaviour. Sad to say, but they're making a lot of grim decisions for the future for themselves. And that's not talking about race, because I helped. I said to one guy the other day, I helped an African lady get a citizenship. Lovely woman. She'd come over here, genuine immigrant, come over legal. She had to do the citizenship test. I helped her through it. And she turned round and she said, these people that are coming in now, she said, I've lived with them. She said, a lot of them aren't nice people. She said, I'm afraid for my kids. That's from their own mouths, so where do you go? But yeah, there's a lot changing, and it won't be for the good for them in future. Anyway, moving on. It's like that one they got on about, and I'm only going to stop on this for a second because it's religion. I said it'll always be the same in Palestine, Israel. The two religions that'll never get on, and they'll always be striking at each other. I've never done anything else since I was a kid. I said, and it's religion fueled. And this woman's, no, it isn't. They're doing this, they're doing that. I said, it's religion. She said, no, it isn't. It's money and power. I said, listen, love. One of the biggest, richest organisations is the Catholic Church. I said, religion is money and power. I said, and that's what it's all about. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Oh, you've been blinded. Fair enough. Yeah, that's good. We'll move on. The brilliant for DCC, Valleys, Lima. Because all you have to do is isolate your pickups from the motor. You do your pickups to your chip. I've hardwired them. All you do is hardwire your pickups to the chip. Make sure your motor's isolated. Then wire your two terminals from your motor onto your DCC chip. Then any lights you have, wire them in. And sound, if you're doing sound, I've done sound. I've wired sound in, it's easy. Have you done a CD motor conversion yet, Valid? I did one on a Lima Steamer. A Lima Steamer. Yeah, I did a CD motor conversion on a Lima Steamer the other day. Not a bad little motor. Mainly because I had to, because somebody lost a little washer out of the mortar, so it pushed up and it wouldn't spin because it was catching without the washer. Yeah, definitely worth it. It's a good way to go, and it's not dear either. Is it Strathpepper Junction that does them all? I think it's called Strathpepper Junction, isn't it? Ah, I'm gathering you mean steam and not, or is it diesels? Cool. Yeah, I have a couple. Well, technically one's an Hornby 59 and one's a Lima 59. I have one of the very early National Power Lima ones. Cool. Yeah, I have a very early Lima National Power one. Is it Vale of York 001? Is it? I don't know. Possibly. Yeah, was there only two National Power ones at first? There weren't a lot of them at first, were they imported? Because I remember the first ones being imported from America. I remember them being photographed at the docks and stuff. The National Power ones. Then who were it? Yeoman's had them. Ark had them. Ark Amy Roadstone. One thing that's really annoying me, Valleys, and I can't find a picture of them anywhere online. There's a certain type of hopper wagon that used to come past our signal box, and I've only ever seen them once on the railway, and it were on that job, so I'm not sure whether they were a trial out hopper or a foreign hopper or whatever, but I've only ever seen them on that job. I've never ever seen them on anything else. And they were like a weird browny grey colour. There was an odd old colour. Yeah, they looked, if anything, very military. Let's have a look. I'll have a look at that. I'll have a check of that one in Google Images. No, not in Facebook, you lemon. YouTube. No, not in YouTube, you lemon. Try again. Google Images, where's it gone? There. Right. HUO. Let's have a look. No, nothing like that, Valleys. They were a modern looking hopper, and they had the sides come up and over like that, and just an opening at the top to drop in. And they were like a dark brick red, close to the very dark brown colour. It was an odd colour to describe. No, not like that, can't say I know it. It looked like they looked like a Continental, a German design, to be honest. but they ran a regular storm working around the Salford area near Manchester. I think they went from Windsor Bridge, storm sidings, or maybe further up. It is, I'm struggling to find. I'm struggling to find out who he was. Yeah, it's got me. I've got the closest I can find up to now, which is a Lima wagon. And I've got loads of them. I've got etched brass, I suppose. I suppose I can make them stand in. Because they didn't even have any company markings on. They were a plain wagon, which with stone you normally got Tilken or Ark on the side, or whoever, but they haven't got any markings on them. They were just a plain military-like hopper. Like I say, they reminded me of a German type of hopper, but I've not seen out on their inventory that'd cover it. It may have been a type of hopper wagon they gave a trial and didn't like, something else won over it. They might just have given it a trial on that train and went, no, we're not keen. God knows. Yeah, the Lima did some, from the Lima train sets I had. Hi, Jessica, good to have you along. Yeah, the Lima train sets I had mine in the 70s, so they were the original HO scale before Lima changed over to double O scale. But yeah, Beatties were a good shop. I miss Beatties, if I'm honest. They were a cracking model shop. I wonder what they'd have been like if they were still around now. You're never late. I'm on for a little bit longer, Jessica. You know what Lima stuff was. The frightening thing is, it's better now seeing competition come back for Hornby, because Hornby's bought everyone out, and it's good seeing people coming in and competing with them. And I think that worries Hornby. I think they're a very greedy company that wants everything. As the big names do get, they don't like competition, big names now. They have to put everyone out of business and be the only one there, which is an awful thing for the hobby, because they can charge what they want, they release what they want, they stock it how they want. Like, very bad thing for the hobby. Because Lima, Hornby own Lima, River Rossi, they own so many of the foreign makes now. And the old Lima locos that you could get for cheap money are now in the Hornby range and horrendously priced. They've just put their own running gear in them. But Lima, that they're just dragging out a draw. There's not enough needs doing on it for a video. I just need to give it a little service and that's a Lima 47, but it's actually a Hornby. But it's Lima's old tooling. But it's actually an Hornby, but it's got Hornby's newer stuff in it, but in some ways, the Lima was better because it was cheap and cheerful. There's loads of it about, and you can get spurs for it. You struggle for parts. My friend has an A4. Case in point, what the Chinese do, and it's the modern thing, it's built-in redundancy. They don't want you to repair things. They want to sell you another. And then they sell it as it's a better runner. It's got this, it's got that, it's got all this detail. But what they're not selling you is it's more fragile. Workings won't last as long. When you have to repair it, it's that fragile, you're more than likely break it or not be able to repair it. If you need spurs, they change the design that often, that they're not available. They don't supply spurs in the first place. All they do is build them as one run, and they build everything onto it. They don't cater for spurs. So there's no case. If you want spurs for a new loco, you have to break them. Yeah, and the trouble is, a lot of them, Paul, is they've been brainwashed by marketing men. You need this, you need that, you need the other. If you really need it, handrails. If you really needed them, get a pin drill. Drill them out. There's handrail stanchions. Make your own handrails. Teach yourself a skill. It'll cost you pennies to do. And like, you used to be able to get etched brass stuff for locos to up the detail up on. And you enjoyed doing it yourself now. It's like the model kits thing. They say, oh, they're brilliant kits. They go together easy like Earthix. They make them so they go together fantastic. And yeah, but where's your skill as a modeler? I've watched one guy. He's took a shit kit, and he used to build in 1/72nd, and he used to build World War I aircraft. And that guy, he was amazing. He'd scratch build, and he'd build all the control wires, the control wheels inside the aircraft. He'd scratch build the seats. On 1/72nd World War I aircraft, he'd put all the gauges that were meant to be in it. He'd do all the exterior bloody bracing and wires on the wings, and he was an amazing scratch builder. I have far more respect for him as a modeler. Don't get me wrong, everybody has the stage they're at in modelling. But if you're looking at people to give respect that guy, not somebody who can just take something out of the shake and bake box, put it together and paint it. Don't get me wrong, there's a certain level of skill in that. And there's some excellent painters, but they're not modellers in the sense as I used to class them. Like, you used to get guys, they issued plans in model aircraft magazines to convert one aircraft into making another subtype. And they print plans and they give like printings of the markings, so you could either hand paint the markings on, make your own decals. But yeah, I bought handrails and made. I bought handrail stanchions and wire and made. All you need is handrail stanchion, some guitar wire, string, or the proper wire for actually doing it. Make your own handrails. Relatively simple job. It's a bit tricky and it takes me a bit of time with my shakes and my eyesight, but I can still just do it. Evening, Scooby. Good to have you along. Yeah, it's I've sat and watched some of the modellers I've most admired. People throw money at the hobby now rather than skill. A lot of them. I love people watching people that'll build something from scratch. I have no but admiration from them. Like I was looking at a layout one time, and I fancied it, and I didn't end up buying it. I thought I'll build my own, which I'm on underway with at the moment. I think I'll be doing a video in the new year for my last stage on it. I keep putting it off, but there's it's like life, it comes up. But I watch people, and there's even some of the old style guys. I watched a guy on my local model railway club's layout. They built from scratch all the local town, well, village town, and all the railways around the town. It's a fantastic layout. It's showing its age now and it needs a lot of tidying. But there are guys putting roofs on buildings and building them by individual slates, individual bricks. And you're like, really? Yeah, I've watched them putting a full roof on, doing it by individual slates. Start at the bottom, work up as you would on a real roof, then put the capping stone up on the top, and you were just, wow, that's just mind blowing. And they do that, then varnish it and stuff. But I've seen them scratch build stone, dry stone walling. They've done a cricket pitch, and you look at the cricket pitch, it's even, they've even separated the colours so they have the mould area for the actual, and it's pin sharp. They've got the mould area for the cricket pitch. Looks awesome. Like, but a lot of it now is old skills, and don't get me wrong, some of the new skills are excellent stuff. Like you've got the static grass. I think that's amazing. Some of the jobs you can do with static grass, and like some of the water effects you can do now. And like you've just a lot of the effects that are available. But I'm planning on doing a series. I'm looking at something different that other people aren't doing. And I'm looking at doing an A to Z series of model railway locomotive servicing. Like start with B for bodies, A for armature. Just go through it and cover different parts in each one. I was going to film the bodies one today, all the different ways, because I've had people ask me, how do you get this body off? How do you get that body off? And I thought, well, if I do a video covering most of the ways the old body's on, that can cover it really. Then if I do a video on different types of armature, and you can find in them, and because there's all different ways of. I've got one at the moment, a completely different motor to what others use. I've got a Gutsold, an East German manufactured one. That's going to be, I've got two of them. They'll be an interesting restoration. But I'm trying to do something a bit different. Works every time, that, Scooby. It depends if you want them to go back on again. Getting them off seldom a problem using that method. It's putting them back on in one piece after. Tell you what, looking at a wagon here, they were basic, but they were good. Who else is old enough to have had fun with stuff like that? The old Lima stuff, it was bog basic. In fact, it was sold as British, but it weren't even British. It's a continental wagon. So, but who else were brought up on stuff like that? I mean, you look at wagons today, there's some superb modelled wagons now. Some outstanding one, but also when you look at that, look at the prices. They're getting silly prices for some of the wagons now. For just wagons. Who else likes watching Sam's trains here? You know something, I love that lad's reviews. A lot of people don't like him because he's bluntly honest. I like him because he won't get paid off by people. He goes out and buys his own kits. He's not to everyone's taste, Scooby, you're right. You're right, but I like him. He's not in anybody's pocket. He goes out and buys his own kit, and he gives an honest opinion on it. A lot of people don't like it because a lot of people support Hornby, and Hornby can't do any wrong. And he tells it like it is. Well, no, it's not right. And a lot of people don't like that, Scooby. Like he'll review stuff, I won't listen to somebody if I instantly know to a degree they're in Hornby's pockets, or they can't give you an honest answer because it'd stop them getting stuff out from factories with the channel. I mean, I'll be honest, I like the people, but I've been kicked out of Jenny Kirk's Facebook page because I was blunt with, who was it released the Mallard, were it the Mallard Dynacar? Yeah, he does indeed, Paul. He runs them on carpet. Which, you think about it, people are using static grass now on layouts, and static grass is carpet fibres. So where's the difference? That's all static grass is, nylon carpet fibre. Yeah, but I got kicked out of Jenny Kirk's Facebook page because I've not fell out with her, or not fell out with either of them. Nothing against either of them, but we had, who was it that released the dyno car for the Mallard, the model, and it fell off the wagon. Pallet full of them fell off the wagon when they were delivered. And I was bluntly honest. I said, I'm being honest. I said, I wouldn't give them anywhere near the price they're asking for them. I said, they've got a factory recall for faults. I know, I said, they've put it all over the internet. They've dropped them off the back of a wagon. and that's why they're late to you. So they're telling you they've been thrown and kicked around the workshop. There's no reduced price, and they're still taking your money. Nah, nah. I'm old school. If I'm buying a thing, I don't want it to have been thrown around the floor. I don't care if you're looking at it and inspecting it. The fact is, it's been thrown across the floor. And I don't want a new item to have factory faults before you even get it, and factory recalls. And the guy were on from the company, and I challenged him. I was blunt with him. Then he didn't like it, so I got banned off the Facebook page. Yeah, he's an unusual lad. I'll say. He's definitely an unusual lad. I quite like his channel on some stuff. I don't get why he had that timed. Well, I do. It brought viewers in to a degree. But why he had the timed thing on getting engines running, just got them running in the time it took them and do a proper job of them. He was all right to watch, I guess. But I watched it and he put some stuff on eBay, some stuff that he'd done from trash to track, and it went for silly money. I thought, really? They were paying over £100 for a Triang Princess just because Sam had done it. I thought, yeah, you'll get that home and eventually you'll think, why the hell did I pay £100 for that? It's a Triang Princess. Like you say, you can't blame Sam for that though. If people had paid me £100 for a Triang Princess, I'd be doing them all day. Without a shadow of a doubt. Don't blame him one bit for doing it. I'd be buying every Triang Princess I could, restoring them and putting on my eBay with my channel's name on, if I could get the £100 Sam got for his. I'd be doing them every week. Anybody that says they wouldn't has to be a mug. But yeah, you're right, Scooby. He's not to everyone's taste. I think he's one of them individuals that, I don't know. You either like him or you don't. He's a sort of Marmite person, isn't he? I don't think there's any in between. Another one I've not seen any of his videos for a bit. I don't think he does model railways. He films real trains, but have you watched him? He puts a camera on his head here and films his face. And you've got like a big view of his face and everything that's going on around him, and he's always laughing. He's a special sort, that lad, I think. I think to a degree there's probably some autism in him, but he's so funny to watch. I've seen it. He's got that excited when a train's come through, he's fell off chairs and all. So it's quite a chuckle to watch him. I'm trying to remember, he had a famous person on a video with him, that lad. Oh, that was it. Eileen. You know Eileen, the Irish comedian. She's normally on 8 out of 10 Cats Do Countdown and stuff. She's Eileen, an Irish girl. She were on one of his videos with him. Funny girl she is. Yes, Sir Sam's Nottingham way, is he? I thought he weren't far off. Right. Thought he weren't too far off. But yeah, there's some good channels that do little bits and pieces. Watched. One guy nearly bought a layout off his old layout. We're talking about Sam's trains at the moment and other videos I watched. I was just talking about that lad that wears a camera on his head pointing towards his face, and you just get a large thing of his face and stuff that's going on around him. I don't know. Did any of you used to watch Intercity 82? He used to do a lot of stuff, and he just went underground. He used to run his layouts in his conservatory. He used to have all his track down in conservatory, that lad. Hardly hear out of him now. I see 82 his channel were called, I think. Yeah, there's some. I think there's a few with we in the world of trains and model railway layouts have Oh, you're joking, Scooby. Oh, Jesus, shit world. You know it's annoying when they're harmless people and won't bother anyone else. What, you mean, no, he didn't? Ah, no to something else, Scooby. No, it's wrong. Sad. Sad. If they tried it with me, they'd be leaving with no kneecaps. It takes all sorts to make a world, Vallis. As long as there's no one's interfering with me, I'll get on with anyone. As long as it doesn't affect what I'm getting up to. In fact, I'll talk to anyone and get on with anyone. I'm the sort of person that mixes with Hell's Angels, mixes with gays, mixes. Don't give a shit. Like from when I was younger, I had an hard upbringing and I had to fight for everything. And but I've been no stranger to putting people on their asses. Oh, we get. Oh, I've got to tell you this one. It made me chuckle last week. I think it was Saturday morning. And I got up to go out. And I'm just going out the door. And it were about 11 o'clock. And I'm just going out as this Jehovah's Witness is trying to come in. And she'd been ringing doorbell. And my next door neighbour answered her on intercom. And he goes, "Yeah, what do you want?" Because it's brusque, my neighbour. He goes, "Yeah, what do you want?" She says, oh, I'm Jehovah's Witness. He said, will you fuck off? You've just woke me and my son up to tell me that bullshit. And I'm just walking past her and I just looked at her and goes, you've no chance round here, love. Oh, I pissed myself laughing. I said, that's about the welcome you're going to get everywhere I leave. Bloody knocking on doors. Jesus. That's the welcome you'll get everywhere. Yeah, they still send them round again and again thinking they'll convert us. They're nuts. Surely they must have better things to do with their life. Maybe they don't. Like I say, it's up to them. They can believe who they want. They can believe in the non-existent fairy tale stuff. Totally up to them. Just don't drag me into it. I don't believe in wasting my time on a Sunday going worshipping or something non-existent when I could be doing. If I were that way inclined and wanted to say I were a good person, I'd get a couple of second-hand duffel coats off people I know and go and take them to homeless people. It's no good sitting in a church and saying, I can misbehave now for the rest of the week. I've been good on Sunday. Right, to fuck with you. Excuse me swearing. Yeah, it is valid. It is what it is. I'm a total non-believer. Total non-believer. I believe we have one life. Once that's it, it's gone. You don't have anything else after. It stops me going, oh, I've got a better life coming. No, concentrate on making this one, the one that you know you've got, as good as you can make it. You ain't going nowhere, you're waiting for the tumble dryer. You stood there going, bastards, they've got me. I can be a bit uncooperative sometimes. I don't play nice. I'd probably throw them in a tumble dryer. There's over 400. No, hang on. Where is it? 4,000 different religions. One of them must be right. For the other 3,999, it isn't looking good. No, that's just extremely good design as well. It was taken off the Bugatti cars, the lines of the design. And Bugatti was a beautiful designer. Art Deco design were gorgeous. Beautiful design. I was nearly crying now in our time. They dragged down a couple of beautiful Art Deco buildings and put some modern shit up. One of them's a car park, and it looks like somebody's let a car bomb off in it already. You wouldn't know the difference if somebody bombed our town. Car park looks like somebody's bombed it already. I thought, if that's a designer. Oh, God, that's one ugly locomotive. The streamlined castle. I think they just weren't trying. They just weren't trying at all on the streamlined castle. Yeah, sod it. We're not bothering with all that. Just put a nose cone on the boiler and the bloody buffers. I don't think they touched the rest, did they? Naught out of 10 for effort. Yeah, it weren't well designed. Yeah, God, right. Yeah, like I say, I'm very much a non-believer. I believe you have one life. There's nobody looking after you apart from yourself. Make sure you make that life as good as you can. Because it's not a long time you're here. Like, you have to make it as good as you can. Get all the experiences you want to do. Because you don't get a second go around. Yeah, like they say, there is heaven and hell. You can either make life hell for yourself, or you can make it as good as possible for yourself. Some are unlucky and don't get the breaks. But the thing is, having the mental attitude to say, look, I'll make the most of it. I've been given the bad deal. I've been given a bad deal. Make the best out of it I can. That's the attitude I've had all my life. I've had times where I've been out on the street and haven't had 2 pennies to rub together. There's been times when I've been driving round in Saabs, my own car. Was there any happier in one than the other? No. Having money just meant I had things. Being poor meant I had nothing to steal. Very good question, Paul. Look, I'm into both. And electric. I like the odd electric. See, at one point, if you modelled BR during the 50s and 60s, there was so much variety. You could have overhead electric, steam, diesel, wild and variant prototypes, and at the same time ancient locos that were like pre-grouping, some of them. Electric can be nice, some of them. There's a nice Class 90 out. I've got the Armby and I want to convert one of the Armbys. I've got fret connections, nameplates. So I want the other plates for it and the decal set. And I'll get a 90 and make my own fret connection. I think I'll do the same with the binding. In 87's nice. I like some of the names on the 87s and 86s and stuff. Interesting story where I live, Valley. One of my local lines, it ran, originally when it opened, it was opened as an overhead electric line. And it was opened to trial out Dick Kerr running gear. And they wanted to try it before they sold it for a foreign contract they had. So they opened the line to try out the gear. And they run it for a while. Then they went to steam. So they used steam for quite a while on the line. And then they went to third rail. So they run third rail for a while. Then they went back to steam and then eventually closed. So it was an unusual line and a very unusual story to it. And it's local, it's up, yeah, it is up North Valleys. It is Dick Kerr Company. They wanted to, it ran from Bury up into Holcombe Brook. If you look it up, it's a very interesting line and very interesting railway. I used to live right next to one of the halts they used to have. I used to live near Woodhill Halt. Just get a quick drink. Back in a sec. Oh, my leg. Back in a sec, fellas. Oh, back again. Got a drink of water. Yeah, Preston, like, you'd have had a lot shot through there. Yeah, the electric cars, it's difficult. I don't think they'll ever get there with a tech. The batteries are too dangerous from a fire point of view. And what they do into the earth is, for the green environment, is actually worse than oil. They use child labour for extracting the lithium and stuff for the batteries. Right. I think they're all round worse deal than petrol. The thing is, though, Valleys, an electric car, if you get a fire on an electric car, you'll put a petrol fire out. Firemen hate electric cars. You can submerge them in water and they'll still burn. The batteries on them are lethal. Firefighters hate fighting electric car fires. There's an American firefighter and he's put up all the reasons why they hated. No, it won't work, Valleys. The problem you have with the batteries is when they burn, they produce their own oxygen. They don't have to get oxygen from anywhere. The fire makes its own oxygen. And that's why they're so lethal. The battery makes its own oxygen. So if you've already got the fire and the fuel, you're snookered. It's making its own oxygen. You can't snuff it out like you do with conventional fire, because it's making it. What you're doing when you're putting water and stuff on, you're snuffing the oxygen. You can't do it with a battery fire with these new batteries, because while they're burning, they're making their own. So you're snookered, really. That's why they burn so intense, because they have, before they being fought, they have the oxygen around them and the oxygen they're producing. Hello, come to daddy, we're off, burn twice as well. And that's the scientific problem behind them for when they have a fire. Firemen in America, a lot of them say they wouldn't like to be in an electric vehicle if it's set on fire. He said, because they won't get you out of it, and if it starts burning. Difficult enough in a fuel car, but oh yeah, there's a lot of problems they're building up. They're not dealing with, valleys. It's like we've given all our electric production, or a big percentage of it, to E.ON or whoever it is. They're a French company. The French are paying about a quarter of what we are paying on electric. The French are laughing at us. They're robbing us blind. And the people in this country have sown their own seeds. They've gone, oh, let's hand it abroad. It's cheaper if we do that. Yeah, till there's no competition and you can't do it here, then they'll turn round like we would have done and go, right, let's sting the bastards. And that's exactly what E.ON are doing. They're a French company and they're nailing us to the wall because we sold all our resources to France. It's not looking good for them in the future, though, valleys. I've always said you can only run a country so long off your past endeavours. We have no industry to speak of in this country now. We've sold all our industry abroad. We've more or less stopped smoking, so that's not being taxed. Drinking's dropped down from people going out. The pub culture's gone, so that's not being taxed. So it's all coming back directly to us, and it's going up and up because with no industry, you can only live so long if you have £1,000 in the bank, put it that way. We've been a country for years, we've had, say, £1 million in the bank, and you have, say you have £1,000 coming in a week, which nobody has that in, well, some do, in very good circumstances. But say you have £1,000 a week coming in, but your outgoings are 1,500 quid. So you're going to have to dig into your savings you have, say the 2 million or whatever you have in bank. That ain't going to last forever, and that's what's happening to this country. You've got all the money we've made from previous generations, and it's been squandered. Because Britain's like the drunk on a Friday night. He'll go out and he'll go, oh, have a drink with me. have a drink, and he'll buy everybody a drink. And then he'll go home and he'll say, oh, come in, have a bit of dinner with me. And then at the end of the week, come about Thursday, he's going round to somebody going, can you lend me 20 quid? That's about where Britain is at the moment. Yeah, but the thing is, it's no good having net zero if you've. It's like everywhere you turn round in a lot of manufacturing stuff. They made people redundant and they educated you at school. Oh, eventually nobody will work and you'll just have robots doing it or other people. Yeah, great, fantastic idea. But at the same time, nobody will pay you for sitting on your ass. You've got to be out and earning something. And if they do pay you for sitting on your ass, they'll want to control you and what's happening. We've never been a country that's had people want to control you more in all my life. And it's not scaremongering or propaganda or anything. It's just the way I see things panning out at the moment. Unfortunately. Anybody with common sense that opens their eyes and asks questions can see the country panning that way. The trouble is, Scooby, it's not us that have done it in a lot of cases. It's modern ones because we don't want to do this, we don't want to do. We've got a generation now that doesn't want to work. They'll all sit and I asked a lad one time, what do you want to do when he was sat playing a guitar on a wall, and I said, what do you want to do when you leave school or whatever? He said, I want to be famous. I said, well, that's not an answer, is it? He said, yeah, it is. I want to be famous. I said, well, okay, what do you want to be famous for? He said, I don't know. I said, well, to be famous, you've to be good at something. I said, just sitting on a wall isn't being famous at something. Like Barry Sheen at school. His teacher said, motorcycles, Sheen. Motorcycles, that's all you ever think of. You'll never get nowhere in life just thinking about motorcycles. Which, he was lucky, he ended up top class racer. And he made his money, moved to Australia, bless him. Passed on with cancer, bless him, he did. But the thing is, you've got a generation that are entitled. And they think they should be leaving school and being famous. With no real visual form of any skill to possess any fame. It's like you watch them, man. I don't watch it now, I'm a Celebrity, because all they are Z-listers. There's nobody really famous on it. Or what I'd call famous. They've just got the dregs out of the bottom of barrels with. Like, I know there's a lot of YouTubers that are famous, but I looked at her and there's no skill. Yeah, it's just. This is it, Valleys. Internet influencer. Where do you go with that? You have to be, yourself. You have to be damn lucky to get views, even on YouTube. You have to be a damn good entertainer to get anywhere with your channel. And you have to have good content. Be good at you have to have be a damn good package. You have to be a skilled individual. I don't have it. I only have 500 followers. I just do it for an hobby. I've got enough with work. It's all they are. They go on, and it's just what we do, except they think they're influencing people to do this with their lives, do that with their lives, do the next thing, and they get sponsorship off clothing companies or say companies that. I mean, there's a lot in our game that try being influencers with the companies, and I don't think to a degree the companies take them on because they don't have full company like backing like some. Valleys, I don't think that'd work for us, pal. I don't think that'd be working for us either. I don't blame you, Scooby. But yeah, they're all. The only one I know, and I'm a celebrity, is Nigel Farage, and I honestly hope he wins. Not because I like him or dislike him, but I hope he wins because he'll piss off everyone I hate in this nation. That I want my view heard. I don't want him to say anything. He'll piss off all the ones that need pissing off. If he had a microscope. And that's why I'd like him to win. Not because I like him as an individual or I support his politics or I do as it goes. I think he's very, very on the ball with a lot of stuff. I think he's the best Prime Minister we'll never have, if I'm honest. And that the trouble is, that's why if he stood for Prime Minister, he'd be a Prime Minister. Because he'd kick the lefties in the knackers. All these ones that are causing all the unrest in the country, all the problems in the country, stem from the left. It's the left stirring the hornet's nest any way they can. Because the thing is, with the left, they do. All I've ever found over my lifetime is lefties are fantastic about complaining about things. Because as soon as you put them in power, they're just as bad as the Tories, if not worse. I've never been taxed more than under a Labour government. They lost a job because they wouldn't bolster up the pound, and the strength of the pound killed exports off. So they killed off a contract that would have kept a very lucrative job I had going. Distrust. They're all as bad as each other, valleys. The trouble is, we're a two-party country that's run that way because they want us to think we have an option. The reality is you have no option. Labour will run it just as bad as the Tories when they get in. And I know that they'll probably get 2 terms, Labour. I think they'll get in the next time. Not that I'd vote them in, but they'll probably get in. And in another 5 to 10 years, they'll be out again. Because they'll do just as bad a job as the Tories are doing. And they'll probably make it worse for the working man. than the Tories did, because the Labour did that to me. The last time they killed the working man, the last time they were in. They crucified working people with taxes. The Tories give the working man better tax breaks than Labour did. But it's hard to argue. Would Labour have had to do that if they stopped him for another term? Because if they didn't, hell would have kicked off. Would they have had to do it anyway? It's an hard argument, and I believe, I've always said they only give us the vote to make us think it mattered. Well, that isn't necessarily right, Valleys. That isn't necessarily right. We're highly taxed now. And they've taken services away from us that we had. They've taxed us more and give us less. Where I live, we've had our community charge gone up, whatever it is now, and they've cut bin collections down. They very rarely do any of the gardening round our areas now, or street tidying. Local people have got together to do the street sweeping and tidying because the council don't do it anymore. You're lucky if they clear the grids. Streets are flooded when it rains. They put stuff up and up and up, and you're getting less and less back for your money. Yeah, he did with me, Scooby. I was working engineering, and I used to do inspection, fettling and driving for an engineering company. And we made compressors, and we did a lot of exports. And because they wouldn't drop the price of the pound exchange, it was killing our export business. And eventually the boss had to say, we had a big deal with, I think it were Singapore Underground, to supply all the compressed air equipment and everything, and it fell through because of the exchange rate. They went elsewhere. So they came round and made all the factory redundant. And that's because the Labour government wasn't handling the strength of the pound correctly. Well, let's face it, Labour sold all our gold reserves at the worst price it had been in decades. And then the week after, the price went up to the best it had been in decades. So they sold it off at the worst price. Then a week later, it were up to the best price it had ever been. And at the same time, the double whammy came, where you call Blair, he had his faults, but he turned round to Brown and said, right, he said, we've got that money off selling the gold, use it to get rid of our national debt. And he ignored him, Brown, and he sent it to all the stupid projects, like he sent it to help foreign aid abroad and a skin, and we could have paid off our national debt, and Brown ignored him. He sent it to all the crazy lefty, like help other countries, and to Tony Blair's credit, I hated the guy, but he did actually tell Brown, you've got that money, spend it on the national debt. And he ignored He ignored Blair, he just spent it where he wanted. Yeah, he did. Brown sold all the gold off. And as I say then, instead of paying the national debt like Tony Blair told him to, he went out and spent it on all the bloody foreign aid and everything. Yeah, so, like I say, whoever you vote in, it's a case of the You sung about it. The You sung about it. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. They'll do the exact same things, only they'll say, we're looking after you. Yeah, I observed that at work this year, Paul. I were in with a lad I'll look after, and on the 11th of the 11th, at 11th, I had me 2 minutes. Sat quiet with him. Good, he's a good young lad. Brain injured lad I look after. Very dark sense of humour he has. Thank God. We're a good pair. But yeah, if I can, I never miss the 11th of the 11th of the 11th. I used to do a lot of the forces, run out the Ring of Red and everything on motorbike round the motorway. Have a ride out. It was a chilly ride out because you did the full motorway right round, then come off, get a brew or whatever. Wow, fantastic valleys. How can you not forget that day? It's a double sting for me, to be honest, Valley, because I was at the night my mum died. I was at the Festival of Remembrance at Albert Hall in London, and we didn't know she'd died. I was there with my dad, and she'd had a brain tumour and she'd been in hospital and had the ops and everything. And the surgeon did say it were only a 50-50 chance they could save her, but they decided with me dad, they said, you can't sit here all the time. Go out with a lad, because I was a kid at the time, and have a day in London at Festival of Remembrance, and we went. And I remember I went in and collected the poppy petals, but when we got back, all the family's cars were at our house and lights were on, and I thought, hey, what's happened? House should be in darkness and everything, so no Paul family were there, and sorry, she passed away, so. But yeah, so it's a double thing for me as well, valleys. It's something I don't really forget. In fact, if I can see them in here anywhere, I know they're in here somewhere. I don't know where they are. They're in that drawer somewhere. But here's one that'll get you. Here's one that'll get people. Right, valleys. See if you know what this is. You're bound to know what that is. I'm not religious, but I keep it. There, I'll show you it again, Valleys, so you can have another look. It certainly is. It's a World War II Forces Bible. It was one issued to me dad in Royal Navy. Yeah, luckily he never got sunk or anything, so it didn't get wet. He were lucky, really. A lot did, especially considering he did the food convoys and stuff like that. A lot perished in the Atlantic from the subs. But yeah, and I've got his miniatures somewhere, not his original medals. I give them to me brother because he were closer to me dad than I were. That's what my dad said. He couldn't swim either. When he joined the Navy, my dad didn't swim. They asked him if he could. And my dad, being my dad, he said, "Why haven't you got any ships?" To be fair, it's all gone Pete Tong if you have to swim. And to be honest, where my dad was, later on in the war, not so much so, but when he was doing the convoys in the Atlantic, if you went in the drink there, you weren't going to survive long. And the convoys kept going. They didn't stop to pick up survivors. Especially if one's been sunk, because they know a U-boat's in the area, they're going to keep going. George the... Hang on. Yep, George the 6th. George V1, so it's the 6th. Oh, wow, cool. Excellent, Jessica. Yeah, you're over in Canada, aren't you? Do you ever watch SMT, Jessica? I can't remember if I've said hello to you on one of his streams. I like SMT's channel. Oh, it's part of why me and my dad didn't see eye to eye. The war change. I never knew him as the individual he should have been, but the individual he was a nice person. Especially after my mum passed away. I think my mum held him in check a lot, to be honest. Once my mum passed away, he weren't nice. We didn't get on at all. Yeah, I'm very laid back, and he was a person that you have to conform, you have to be this, you have to be that. To be anything in society, you have to be married, you have to be. He was very, and I'm like, no, I don't agree with you on anything, really, Dad. Not, of course, not like today's society. I didn't agree with him, and we couldn't stand each other, but I respected him. Yeah, it could. It changed a lot of women as well. Some of the stuff they went through, I mean, You talk about the ones that were doing the fighting at home. Some of the stuff they saw at home and in civilians, and some of the stuff they had to go through and that. You always get stuff painted up as glamorous, and you won't. Later on, our generation, if you were born 60s, you had some of the tail end, but you didn't see half of the horrors they went through. I'll just say it's amazing. Since I've worked in brain injury, I'm amazed what people can go through and survive. And sometimes it's not for the better, bless them. Like guy I work with, I don't talk about him that much. But one guy I work with only has half of his skull left. Yeah, he changes personalities, valleys. They're not forgetting valleys, they've forgotten. They don't know about it. A lot that are being brought up today aren't being brought up with people that have experienced it and lived it. And that's a big part of the problem. They've been pandered to and pampered to and given everything. They've not been told, like, no, you're wrong. They've had such a life that's too cosy. It sounds awful saying it, but it's too cosy. It's been too cosy for many years. It's horrible, but that's not what the world's like. You've got to prepare your kids for there's going to be nastiness out there. People are going to tell you, no, you're not right, piss off. You can't. People are going to steal things off you. People are going to beat the crap out of you. You can't mollycoddle kids against it, and that's what they're doing. Kids aren't seeing any of the nastiness that is the reality of the world. My dad, and it was only one of the things he talked about in World War. He talked very little about his war experience, apart from he'd talk about happy times with some of the lads and some of the laughs he had, but he never talked about the action apart from one time. And we're out in a restaurant, and of all places, it was, I don't know whether people will remember it, but if you're railway family and you've been on railways, we used to get free travel passes, so we went to London regular. So when you got off at Euston, you fancied a meal, an ideal place, where as soon as you got off the train, there was the Lancastrian grill upstairs in Euston Station, and we went for a meal there this particular time. And I said to him, I said, oh, what? I said, are we having a meal with it, Dad? And he went, yeah. I said, full three courser and everything. And he went, yeah. He said, fill your boot. So I went, okay, I'll have prawns. I said, are you having prawns for a treat? He went, no, I can't. He said, I can't eat some. And I said, why not? He says, oh, they just... He said, I shouldn't really give you a story. I said, well, why? Just tell us. And he said, well, it's from dragging bodies out to the sea when I were in Navy. He said, and they've been in for a few days, and he says, you drag them out to sea and the prawns had come out of their eyes and mouth. And so I went, have you got melon balls? So I went, yeah. But yeah, that was, and he'd never touched prawns ever since then. The funniest thing my old fella told me, fucking hell, Churchill. How can you be British and not know Churchill? I can forgive him for not knowing that a lot of the stuff he did, like First World War stuff and afterwards, but how can you not know he was a wartime Prime Minister? I don't get it. Especially a lad. I don't get how's he been brought up that you don't has he never seen a war film? Has he never been taught at school? He's one of our, like his politics or not, he was who we needed at the time. But yeah, it's just, I don't get their education now. Another funny thing in World War Two, and I'm gonna call it a day in a bit because I've nearly been on 3 hours now. Where did that go? Cool, excellent, Scooby. Yeah, there was a couple of funny things. The first one, the Navy, when my dad were in, they were looking. At one point, they were looking for somebody to take part in a shot put event. So they had all, I think it were at Ganges, his shore establishment where he trained. And he said they were looking for somebody to take part in a shotgun event, shot putting event. And they had people going up all day, the lads from regiment from Navy, and they shot putting, boom, popping it right up the field. And they're going, right. And they got to end of day, they said, who do you think's suitable for this? And he says, well, they're all there. Well, I don't know. They're all not too bad and everything. And then you heard this one voice pipe up and he says, what do you think about that one that wherever it's gone to, he's thrown it back? Would you think he might be the one? Brilliant. And another one, my dad were on a live firing exercise and you had to crawl through a trench and keep your head down below the level of the gunfire. And he were on a Bren or whatever it was, pop, 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 firing above the thing. And he were crawling through trench and doing the live firing exercise. And at the time, later on, he were knackered and they were in the pub all having a pint. And they turned round and they said to this guy, said, bloody hell, that were an hard day. Said, what have you been doing all day, to this guy? And he said, I've been on the machine gun. And my old fella shit himself. I looked at him. He said, I looked at him and his eyes were like that. He said, he must have been seeing two of me. He said he had the worst crossed eyes I've ever seen. And he was the one doing the live firing over the top of them. Said, thank God I was low enough. Oh my God, who's Julia? Don't eat salad. Gee, you know, it's frightening. It's frightening how far how close they've forgotten stuff. You know, I honestly am with this generation scared if anything happened like that again, because I don't think they'd have what they have what it takes to defend us. I honestly don't. I'm going to write a letter to the EU because I'm offended. Were it Armstrong and Miller did the RAF pilots? They summed it up perfect. I'm going to have a word because that's against my human rights, isn't it? Isn't it, wasn't it? Anyway, lads, with that, it's been a good evening. Had some good subjects, enjoying ourselves. Some model railway, some not so. And been good having you along. And like I say, I don't do it every week, just when I can. I'm not so sure. The problem is, Valleys, a lot of them aren't Brits. That's a big problem today. I looked at me, I'm not doing them down in any way, because there's a lot of genuine people in all communities, and there's a lot of shit in all of them, including our own. But I looked at our war memorial, and there's a Canadian bloke has his own channel, and he came to Bury and he looked at the war memorial, and there were a school, bless them, and God bless them, they have the respect to put on the war memorial, but there weren't a single British name on the thing from the full school. In fact, there weren't a single European name. I hope so, Jessica. It's lovely having you over from Canada. What time of day is it there now? And I'm guessing it's bloody cold as well, isn't it? It's difficult to say, Valleys. There's a lot of people against the British way of life now, and it's hard to say where a lot of it comes from. Sadly, some of it is British people, but not all of it. But I say it's hard to put the blame at anybody's door, really. Because, like I say, there's good and bad in every community. I'm sure I'll be dead before it's even an issue, Valleys. I think it's stuff they're making problems for themselves in future. I think, unless I'm unlucky, I think I'll be gone. I think I've only got another 15 years in me tops. I'd be surprised if I got 10. I'm not in good health now. And I don't think I'm going to get any better. But yeah, I have a lot of love for country, which kills me when I see people how they treat it now. You're actually hated now if you love your country. Bloody hell, it's tropical where you had yesterday. +4? That's tropical temperatures. Anyway, I think I'll call it a night, lads. We've been going 3.25 hours. It's a good stream, that. Been lovely chatting. Silly Scooby. Catch you again, buddy. Yeah, we've always been a mongrel nation. We always have mixed from Vikings, Romans, everything. Night Scoops. Very mild, that, Jessica. There's 5 there. I don't know who the others are hanging on, but night to everyone. Been good having you in. And I'm signing off. So tatty pie, everybody. Tatty pie. Night, Valleys. And who's else is in? Valleys, Scooby. Night, Paul. God bless you as well. Even though I'm not religious, I'll still say God bless. And catch y'all later. Tatty pie all. Bye. Bye.